Okay, I think that's live. I'm still not really sure how to use this thing. So, well, yeah, that says live. Okay, good. All right. Well, another impromptu one, although I gave like a 5-minute warning. So I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute or two while I play with some other bits to see if I can. Oh, well, somebody's already there. Hello, Mr. Baron von Blair. Okay, that's, I didn't expect anybody to pop in actually, but I was gonna do a little talk on zealotry and how the only people you can trust are zealots. But while we wait here to see if anybody else pops up, and if you've got any questions, go for it on anything, really. And let me know if you can hear me, because I don't know. Oh, perfect. Good. Oh, Stranger Danger. That sounds like a good one. Oh, there's already 8 people. Alright, I think I'll just wait for a minute or two, because I did start early. And I only gave a 5-minute warning. At your command. Oh, very good. That's what I like. Proper zealots. Now, I don't know if you can actually see me, because the phone has gone off. Have you got video there? Or is it just audio? Well, the fishbowl sound is probably this thing. Let's see what happens now. Let me know if you stop hearing me altogether. What's that like? And alright, so okay, good. I'm frozen. That's kind of okay, because I'm messing around with some bits here. But you can hear me, right? Which is the main thing. Happens now. Let me know if you stop hearing me altogether. Okay. What's that like? Echo there going on. Alright, so okay, good. You're frozen. That's kind of okay, because I'm messing around with some bits here. But you can hear me, right? Okay. I've unplugged the phone. Alright, now you should be able to see me move as well, right? Although this light in my face is not quite what I wanted. So let me just switch on the other light. Alright. Ooh, that's a bit bright. Kill that. And we can mess with this brightness here maybe. Oh well, or maybe not. It's a bit, this camera is a bit crappy, because it's the monitor camera, and it's not as good as the phone. But anyway, all good now. Okay, perfect, sound great now. And it's not too low, right? Because my last videos have been low, and I've been using the same microphone. So if you guys can help me out to figure out if the volume is okay now. I know there's a lot of people complaining about, oh, I can't hear you on my phone and whatever. And I don't know, maybe you're all at your computers right now, but why aren't women funny? They laugh at good jokes. Okay. I'll get to the question in a second. You've just helped me. My troglodyte abilities with technology are less than perfect. So, do androids dream of electric sheep? I guess if you program them to. That is one of my favorite books, yeah. Okay, my 10-month-old James is watching you. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, my kid watches me on video as well. He's kind of like, how can you be in 2 places at once? Okay, so once more, guys, I'm going to ask you just a quick question. Is the sound the same as the last few videos? In other words, it's not that high? Or is it better than the last few videos? No, nothing. Okay, well, there's 20 of you, so come on, can one of you tell me whether the sound is same as before, better or worse? It's about the same. Okay, one last test and then I'll get onto the video. Better, the same? Okay, well, there's 20 of you, so come on, can one of you tell me whether the sound is same as before, better or worse? It's about the same. Okay, one last test and then I'll get onto the video. Better, the same? Okay, well. Okay, good. Just testing that. Come on, can one of you tell me whether the sound is same as before? Okay, hopefully this is back to not completely crap. So, we now know that the microphone plugged in works, but still have the volume issue, but maybe I'll figure that out another day. And yes, of course, Dilo, of course you'd come on when I do. That's, you know, the telepathic connection with the High Priestess, of course. All right, there's a little bit of delay, so you guys are probably hearing me about 10 seconds or so after I speak. Okay, Zealots. Oh, wait, there was a couple of questions, the guys that came in early, so let me go back and answer those. Why aren't women funny? From David Lawrenson. They laugh at good jokes, so they know what's funny or not. Is it just us being genetically made to not laugh at women making jokes? No, some women are funny. My wife's hilarious sometimes. She's probably one of the few people who might have a darker sense of humor than I do at times. Or about even, I'd say. Women can be funny, but it's contextual. You know, a woman can be funny with you in the moment, in the thing. But as far as comedy goes, I think women are less funny because they're so subjective. So, you know, stand-up comedy is a routine. It's something that's been planned. So it's not instinctive. It's not natural to a certain extent. It's an act. And women are very good at acting when they want something. You know, so that would be answering that question. Okay, not good with the change. Right. Zealots. So I was thinking, you know, there's so much nonsense going on. People don't know who to trust and all that. The thing about, you know, a lot of people get offended or get upset when I take no prisoners. And this is even within my own little Catholic community of people that you know, I'm pretty, I wouldn't even say I'm hardcore. I'm just following the rules. And the rules of the church are, you know, that basically all the Novus Ordo guys are fake priests and all that. And I got asked quite recently a few questions about that, sort of like, oh, but, you know, what about this priest who is actually a Catholic priest? He's not a Novus Ordo, but he says that you can't judge people, you can't say who's a heretic and not. And again, that's sort of nonsense to a certain extent. Yes, it's true that because heresy is such a powerful thing, you should be careful, you know, about when you claim somebody is a heretic. So, fair enough. But what we're talking about here with respect to Vatican II and all that stuff, it's not your opinion. It's not my opinion. It's not what I believe. And I keep getting asked this question, oh, so do you think so-and-so is a heretic? Do you think I'm a heretic? Do you think somebody that does a una cum mass is a heretic? Now, una cum mass, for those of you who don't know Latin, means when you say the mass, there is generally a part within the mass where you sort of pray for the Pope. Now, given that we don't have a Pope, if you were going to say, oh, we now pray for Pope, and I refuse to call him Francis, so that's what they would say, but, you know, Bergoglio, you are now linking the most sacred event of Christianity with a known Satanist that associates with child traffickers and pedophiles and protects them. To me, that is absolute blasphemy. Now, if you go to a mass where a priest says that, let's for the moment forget about the Novus Ordo, right? Let's just say you go to what you think is a good Catholic Tridentine Latin mass, and the priest says, Pope Francis. You can say, oh, but maybe he's ignorant or whatever. No, you really can't. Because if you are a priest that is not Novus Ordo, in other words, that rejects Vatican II and so on, you cannot. There is absolutely no logical reason why you would treat any of those imposters as popes. That's the whole point. If you do understand Catholicism and you do read the Vatican II documents, you know they're heretic, and you know that anybody that promotes them is a heretic. End of. Now, this is not a matter of opinion, because Canon 188 Part 4 is a very particular canon. It's got a very clear and unusual, let's say, almost unique aspect to it. It is absolute. It requires no pronouncement from anybody. And it is not formal. Now that is kind of sounds a bit like a nonsense, but it isn't. Because it's automatic. The law itself makes it happen. It's not formal because a formal one requires a declaration from somebody. So it is technically informal, but it is absolute and instant. And there is no appeal. It is a judgment. Why? Because somebody who falls under Canon 188 Part 4 has done so as a result of being a public, notorious heretic. Now, you can say, oh, well, but how can you say that a priest is a public, notorious heretic? Well, let's start from the beginning. The fake popes who promoted and created Vatican II, they were public and notorious heretics. Why? Because they published these documents, Vatican II documents. Vatican II documents are, by intent, by default, by design, supposed to be read by every human being on earth. You literally cannot get more public or notorious than that. So somebody who promotes those documents, which in them have absolute, demonstrable, no shadow of a doubt heresy, because they're going against exact opposite of what the Catholic Church has been saying for almost 2,000 years, that is now a notorious public heretic. And some people are saying, oh, but you can't judge a man's heart, only God can do that. That may very well be, but it's completely irrelevant, because canon law is been put together by the magisterium of the Church, which is considered to be infallible. The magisterium of the Church under a pope, and by the direction of the pope, in this case Pope Pius X and Pope Benedict XV, is infallible. So canon law is, in certain respects, canon law has got like human elements to it, or aspects of simple practical church running. But this is one of those things that affects both, call it worldly law as well as divine law, because it is a canonically a dogmatic, absolute principle of canon law. So that's that. Now, you can even say that perhaps in his heart the guy is not really a heretic. You don't know. You can say that. You can say that you personally don't know. And that's fine. You can say that only God knows if, those anti-popes are really, truly heretics in their hearts. It's fine. But the fact is that as far as the Church is concerned, for all the purposes, divine, ecclesiastical, civil, all of them, that relate to Catholicism, they are heretics. End of. Given that, and given that these people are heretics, any priest, any other cleric who does not recognize that and does not also reject them, what are they doing? They're in essence promoting Vatican II. Because if you don't recognize that Ratzinger is a heretic, then you're promoting heresy. You yourself become a public heretic. When you keep teaching the public heresy that the public notorious heretic has created, you yourself become a public notorious heretic. That is not the case if you are somebody that's sitting in the Mass as a layman. You're not a priest. You're not teaching the Mass. You're not doing that as a public thing. You are taking part in it. Now, it's blasphemous at the very least, sacrilegious probably, but I can't accuse you of being heretic. I could say that you're an idiot, that you're slow, that you don't know catechism and whatever. Now, why this long little introduction? I'm not going to go on only about this. The whole point of that was to show you a very particular but very important case of divine ecclesiastical law. They're both on the same train on this. Why? Because it matters. Because the truth matters. And that's the whole point of what I wanted to tell you guys. The only people you can trust are people who are absolute in their honesty, or dishonesty for that matter. If somebody lies all the time for any reason, well, you can trust them that they're a liar. They're reliable in that sense. So really, when it comes down to it, and in the world that we're facing now, it comes down to just one thing: who's telling the truth? And that's it. It's just who's telling the truth. And if that's not complicated, that's not difficult to understand. So that's why I'm saying zealots are the only people you can trust. And that's pretty much it. But the thing is, when you should be getting rid of anybody that is dishonest now in your life, because we're coming to a crunch point. It's everywhere. It's people forcing you to wear masks, and it's the pandemic and all that stuff. So how do you deal with that? Well, by getting rid of anybody who is a habitual liar. Do not deal with those people. Have nothing to do with them. And again, remember, it's in the Bible. You get the wheat gets separated from the chaff, and that is what hanging around with liars and deceivers and so on, that's what it does. Which is why I am also so brutal about kicking idiots out of my channel, banning them. I don't even give them a first chance, never mind a second one. Because I've got a lot of experience with this. I don't associate with people that are dishonest. Not in my work, certainly not in my personal life, not in my relationships. I just have nothing to do with them. Nothing. They do not get to my house. They do not get to talk to me. They do not get to interact with me. They do not get my money. They do not get my business. They do not get any involvement from me. Once I have seen that you are a liar, and that, and I'm not talking about the little white lie here or there, or guy, somebody, you just met somebody and you're not really sure and whatever, and that can be the whole spectrum, right? It can be in business, it can be in personal relationships. You meet a pretty new woman and you think, oh, she's really cool, and obviously she's going to be on her best behavior. You're going to be on your best behavior. She's probably not going to tell you some skanky thing she did, and you're probably not some skanky thing you did. That's not necessarily being completely dishonest. Also, at the same time, you need to toughen up. You need to toughen up. Because the truth, as one of my grandmothers used to say, when I was little, she used to say, the truth is ugly. And I was like 4 years old, and I used to look at a woman and think, man, you're just so dead wrong. So I haven't really changed much since I was a little kid, because the truth I have never found ugly. The truth can be harsh, it can be tough, it can be ugly for you to accept, but the truth is the truth. So you should not have to wonder about somebody, whether they're lying to you or not. I mean, why would you want to have any kind of interaction or semi-meaningful relationship with anybody that is a liar, that is dishonest, that you can't trust? Why would you do that? And it's the same with you guys. Now, I am not a patient man, generally speaking, unlike Vox, who is. However, I can be the most patient man. I think far more patient than Vox, under certain specific circumstances. The patience that I have, and it pretty much only kicks in when it's this sort of environment, is the patience of the hunter. I can wait there for my prey for months, years, and it'll just be there in the background. I'm observing, waiting for the right moment. And the world that we're living in now is very much one where the things that I've been doing over the last year, year and a half are now starting to pay up. I mentioned in the impromptu live stream I did yesterday that I'm hovering at just under 2,000 subscribers. But that's not the real number of people that are listening, whatever. The real number of people is probably in the region of a few hundred. It's like between 3, 4, 5, maybe 600 that are generally, let's say, followers and listen and so on. And that's good. I don't care if it's 50, right? The point is, as I've said long ago already, what I want to build here is a bunch of little zealot, hardcore Catholics. Why? Am I interested in a cult of personality? Not particularly. Now, I know that D-Lo, is busy procuring all the sex slaves for me. No, it's not about me being well known or famous or anything like that. It's about you. It's about us. It's about the rest of the world. It's about your family. And it's about the truth. Because you see, if you have a small community of people, whether it's online, it's better if it's in real life, physically, and we're building that up, by the way. With my wife, we're slowly making that happen with other people, and you should be doing the same. Now, why am I so hardcore about, oh, you've got to be Catholic? Because it's Catholic or get the fuck out. I'm not interested in arguing with you about Protestantism. If you're a Protestant, you literally do not have the mental ability to understand church history. You're too lazy. You haven't done it. I don't care. You shouldn't really even be here. Just go somewhere else. There's plenty of other channels. If you think Catholicism or this, that, I have zero interest in arguing with Protestants. And now when they come up with some smarmy comment, they just get banned. What if you're a Novice Orco Catholic? Yeah, I am talking to you. There's a lot of Novice Orco Catholics which are ignorant, are badly catechized, have been lied to since they were children, identify with the Catholic Church as they think it is, and find it very hard to let go. I understand those guys somewhat, and I'm trying to help them, and that's why I go on and on about this stuff. But remember, my philosophy is pretty much the opposite of no retard left behind. Leave the retards behind. They're not useful, they're not helpful, they drag on you, they just use up resources. What I want is a spearhead of completely committed Catholics. And at the end of the day, I don't care. Even if you stop listening to me, that's fine, and go somewhere else. That's absolutely fine. But just build your own little hardcore Catholic community. Why Catholic? Is it because I'm just such a zealot and I believe? Well, yes, I do. But that's, again, not the point. The point is Catholicism has been tested in the forge of time. And with 2 millennia of assaults and attacks from every angle, there is still a remnant of it. Despite 500 years of Protestantism, which is what seeded the ground, despite over 200 years of infiltration by Carbonari, by Freemasons, by essentially Satanists, which have eventually managed to sort of take over the seat of Peter for the moment, there is still a remnant. And it's prophesied that it would be just a remnant. So if it is the end times, all the prophecies from literally thousands of people from all walks of life, including non-Catholics, prophesied the same thing, that in the end of days, the church would collapse from the inside and only a small remnant would be left. Now, if thousands of people have predicted that, have had that premonition, and keep in mind that in the book Systema, I give you the science behind it. There have been meta-studies done on precognition. Precognition is a very real human thing, as is telepathy, by the way, as D-Lo can confirm. But, you know, telepathy is a real thing. There's a guy called Michael Persinger. He's a professor in Canada somewhere. He's done a 2-hour video called No More Secrets on YouTube. You should still be able to find it, which explains how telepathy works. And I think that's the best explanation I've ever heard. But precognition also works. And if you think that I'm just, you know, shooting shit, no. There is a guy called Roland McCratey, who's an American guy who works with the military, who is training special ops guys to use to develop their facility of precognition. I had email exchanges with him when I wrote the Systema book, and all that stuff is in the Systema book. So if you're interested in that, look into that. But basically, you know, when people from all around the world on many different denominations come up with the same precognition in the future about what's going to happen to the church, maybe it's worth paying attention to. And so if we are in the end of days, safest bet is probably to be a hardcore Catholic. If we're not in the end of days and we can still turn all this around, which is pretty much where I'm at, and I'm thinking, screw that. I don't care what the prophecies are. Nobody knows when the end of days is. I'm here now, and I'm fighting, and I'm going to make it bigger, not smaller. I'm not just going to hide in my little corner. No, fuck that. We're going out and we're attacking. And by the way, whenever Catholics have done that throughout history, they've kicked ass. You know, in hoc signo vinces, Constantinople won under the cross. The other thing is the Bohemond, my favorite crusader, who, like, you know, they're at their last dregs of survival, and they siege Antioch, which is almost an impregnable city, with not even enough men to surround the city. So it's like a lost cause. And yet he does it. He bribes one of the guards, gets into the gates, takes over Antioch, and like the next day, literally, they've got a huge army of Muslims, of like thousands of Muslims, and they're just like a few hundred knights that have almost starved to death. They had to eat their horses, their wives and kids. A lot of them have died. They've just literally taken over Antioch, and now they're facing a horde of like tens of thousands of Muslim warriors outside. And the priest that they have among them has a vision or a dream, and he says, no, the lance of Longinus is here. It's under that altar. And sure enough, they lift up the altar that used to be a church, because, you know, it got taken over by Muslims, but it was a church, and they dig under this altar, and sure enough, they find this point of a spear that is the spear of Longinus, supposedly, or whatever. They all rejoice, and they decide, right, instead of, you know, sitting here and getting siege, we're going to go out there and attack. Now, they're like, I don't know, like 100 to 1 against sort of thing. And they just charged. They just charged the Muslims and slaughtered them. They left bodies all over. It kicked ass, took over Antioch, and the next day wiped out a huge Muslim army and got back to the castle. This is the same. Bohemond won. Bohemond the First. This is the same. It's the same thing. We're a small group of people. I'm not interested in all the naysayers. I'm not interested in the, you know, among the Crusades, there was all sorts of like losers, homeless people, orphans, guys who just wanted to kill Jews. There was all sorts of scum that just dragged along. But the guys who led the Crusades were princes. These guys were noblemen, and they fought like noblemen. Bohemond was probably why I like him, is because he was like right on the razor's edge. He was the only guy that managed to get away with like not swearing fealty to the emperor at one point. And then the emperor broke his word, so he was like, fuck you, now I'm going to break, you know, we had this rule that we weren't going to take your lands, but now I am, because you broke your word, you betrayed us, you had them attack us, you didn't defend us, you didn't send the food, fuck you, I'm taking off your land. And that's exactly how I'd be thinking. But, you know, there were other guys, Tancredi, Edward, the two brothers. These guys were honorable, tough men. And who do you want to be? You know, imagine there's a film about your life. Who do you want to be? The little guy who had the easy route out, who pitched out, who was like, oh no, I don't want to offend anybody. Fuck that. I don't know about what movie you want for your life, but I know which movie I'm living. And there's no way that I'm going to bow or bend my head or, no, no. Hold to the truth like an absolute fanatic. Why? Is it wrong? Is it mentally ill? No. If you are the most sane individual possible to be, and you can see the truth as it is, why on earth would you try and corrupt that and make it worse? Now, it's true that we all see through a glass darkly, so you have to have an allowance for that. But the allowance for that is not, calling Bruce Jenner Caitlyn. No. The allowance for seeing through a glass darkly is what exactly is the meaning of the Trinity in this context. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of wiggle room there. But I'm not going to leave any wiggle room on 2 + 2 is 4. I'm not going to leave any wiggle room on a man is a man. And even if he chops his dick off and puts some plastic inserts in his chest and takes hormones, still never going to be a woman. And so on and so forth, and all the other nonsense about white guilt and Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. I don't care. That's all nonsense. It's all just confusion to brainwash you into stupidity. No, the truth is the truth, and that is all that matters. The truth is... Oh, good. Baron von Blair there is saying that Michael Persinger's No More Secrets video by Michael Persinger is still up. So it's a really good video. It's quite long, but it is science and it's well explained, and even explains the mechanism of how he thinks telepathy works. And I believe that he's definitely onto something. Okay, so that is pretty much my thing done. If you guys have got any questions, there's how many? There's like 43 of you. So shoot, we'll do one of those quick Q&As. Let me just scroll back to see if I've missed anything. Tell people with volume issues, turn up the volume. It's a defect in their ears or electronics. No, the reality is that these professional microphones or whatever are good, but you need something else to boost the pickup on it. And I don't know, I don't have the bit that goes in between, and I'm a plug and play. It has to be idiot proof, otherwise I can't be bothered. For me, all this technological stuff is like a car. I just want to put petrol in and go. That's it. I don't want to know. I don't need to know how everything works. It changes every 3 weeks anyway, so it's like, nah. Okay, women are funny when they aren't trying to be, and if people are offended at calling a spade, they can piss off. That's right. That's right. James Erickson, churches will often cite love as their excuse to obfuscate the truth. Right, that's another thing. Thanks for reminding me. I've just put up a blog post, which is essentially a transcript of the argument that I had with Padre Gio, that fake Catholic deacon. And it's on the blog. Now, if you like flame wars, and if you like, it's quite interesting to read. It's a bit of a schlep, because I don't have the time to go through 30 pages or whatever it is and split it all out and highlight it in different colors and whatever. So it's like you have to figure out who's talking when, and it's just when it's at Padre Gio, it's me saying something, or at Kurgan, it's the other guy saying something. So you can figure out who's saying what. But very quickly you see how they start off as I am just here to try and understand. I am humbly trying to grasp. And then like 20 messages later, it's like, aha, I got you. You were the liar. And the mask just falls off. But the interesting part is you see all their deceptive techniques, which I detail in the book, which I'm going through some of the editing. There you go. You can see modus operandi of the deceivers. And I list them, subterfuge, sophistry. And the cool thing is that once you read that transcript, you see this guy tries them all. And I put it in the book that somebody wants to tally up which techniques the guy tried to act on. you know, and tally them. It's really quite an interesting exercise. And yeah, they always try and use your good nature. You got to keep in mind, these people are psychopathic narcissists. They will lie to your face about the color of the sky. You cannot ever overestimate what kind of deceitful liars they are. It's astonishing. So absolutely, they will try and use your good nature and like, oh, but you can't be that arrogant. You can't judge. It's not for you to say who's a heretic. You're right, it's not for me. It's for the magisterium of the church, and they have said it. So stop lying. And remember, Canon 188, Part 4, is a stake in the heart of these vampires. It's absolute, it's instantaneous, and that's it. You can't recover from it. It is it, and you're out. And is pretty much, as far as I've seen, the only canon that applies that way. I've pretty much read the whole book through 1.5 times, I think. And I haven't found anything else that quite applies to that level. To be fair, I also haven't investigated all the other canons, but then there isn't really one that's on that level. Canon 188, Part 4. And when they keep telling you, no, but there needs to be a pronouncement, and you still need 6 months. No, you do not need 6 months. It's instantaneous. You do not need a pronouncement by anybody. It's done and done. It's already ruled on. The whole point that they put that book together is that it's already judged. The law itself convicts them. The conviction is already done. Now, you're saying, oh, but what about throwing them physically out of office? Yes, that is a bit of a problem because nobody's doing it. But literally, anybody has the right to do it. You know, if you can get yourself into the Vatican, past the Swiss guards, grab Bergoglio by the scruff of his neck and throw him out into the street, you're entitled to do it because you're a Catholic. All right, let's just see if in the meantime you guys have asked me a couple of questions here. No More Secrets video still up. Godfrey of Bouillon. Yeah, Godfrey's another one. I don't know so much about Godfrey. I really enjoyed Bohemond's story though, so I'm going to try and find out a bit more about him. Confusion to brainwash you. That's right. Yeah, conflation. Conflation is the best thing. You know, it's like when you take a little bit of ice cream and a drop of sewage and you mix them together and then they try and tell you that you've got ice cream. No. You have to be a very clear thinker, because how much sewage would you set in your ice cream? None, right? This is the same with the truth. Do not let these deceivers like tell you nonsense. And I'm not just talking about the church. It's with anything. It's at your, you know, at your work. I mean, with work you can sort of, I'm not saying it's right, but you can understand there is a certain accepted bullshittery when somebody's trying to sell you something. You know that they're going to be sort of pumping the thing, you know, but that's different from somebody outright lying to you, you know. Baldwin Bear, hello. Opinion on kettlebells. I don't have an opinion on kettlebells. I've always hated weight training, and I've pretty much never done it other than to just show that, okay, where I was at. There's a guy called Pete Sisko that wrote a really good book. I don't know if it's still available. It's an ebook. It was $10 at the time. But basically what he's talking about is static resistance training. And if you have to do some weight training, then I would just do that, because literally you can do an exercise that takes you probably about 1.5 minutes to do twice a week. And then you slow down to like maybe once a week, once every 2-3 weeks. And it's basically you push as hard as you can. You do like 1 rep at full extension, so you don't do the full movement. It's just like a 1/2 inch. Basically get it off the bars and hold it as long as you can. If you can hold it longer than 10 seconds, put more weights on, but you have to be on the stops, right? Because this thing will crush you otherwise. And don't do the full range of movement, just 1 inch, just to get it off the stops, but keep the stops there. When you can hold it only for 10 seconds, that's it, you're done. That's your arms done, that's your chest done. Then you do the same with your legs. Now in normal gyms, I've yet to find a gym where I can put enough weight that I can't hold it for like a long time. But in some, like boxer gyms or whatever, you can put as much weight as you want. And again, put it on the stops, almost full extension legs, and just push like 1 inch off. You can do like 1/2 ton probably easily. And again, if it's more than 10 seconds, put more weight on. You do that. And then you do the last one, which is a crunchy, where you you put the weights and you crunch down like this. And again, in a normal gym, I can't find one where I can put enough weight to not be able to do that. you got to have your legs hooked onto something, because your body weight's not going to be enough. But anyway, I've only ever done that maybe for like a month ever. I've hated. I've never gone to gyms to do weights. I've always done anti-gravity sort of training, using your own body weight, doing push-ups and sit-ups and squats and that sort of stuff, and done thousands of those in training. Now I'm a bit out of shape and a bit out of practice, but I can still do 50 push-ups, drop down and give you 50, no problem. And the interesting thing is that the last time I checked this was when I was in Egypt for my, in 2008. Was kind of a special little year for me. So I got my brother and my sister to Egypt, which I'd always wanted to see, and we went to see the pyramids and that. And I had a gym in there, and I tried, okay, what is the most that I can actually do doing that? And I shifted 220 kilos, which is, I don't know, in pounds, it's about 460 pounds, something like that. But again, I've never been in a gym. So kettlebells, I don't know. If they work for you, go for it. I just turned on this on Bluetooth and it was connected to the speaker in the bathroom. Well, there you go. Bait posting. Bait posting, I don't know what that is. Magical feline. My husband didn't expect. Well, I guess if he was sitting on the toilet, maybe that was a good thing. Would the West have been able to develop into its great success if Constantinople was not a protective barrier against Muslims for centuries? Yes, because Constantinople wasn't really a protective barrier. You got to keep in mind that the Muslims raided Spain, raided the south of Italy, raided Europe, and Constantinople really didn't do much at all. That was the seat of empire. It was like if the Muslims came up through southern Italy all the way to Rome. They never got there because we stopped them. But in Constantinople, eventually they did get there because the Orthodox kind of, we're just insular, we sit on the sidelines and we make a deal. The Byzantine Empire, that's why it was called that, because they make a deal with everybody. And I know about that because I'm Venetian. Venetians, keep in mind that Venice was the only republic that it's got a history of about 3,000 years and remained independent for a very long time, and was independent of the Ottoman Empire on its doorstep across the ocean, of the Austrians to the north, the Germans to the north, of the rest of the Italian city-states all around them, and of the church, because although Venice was always a Catholic city and still is, it still managed to sort of keep even the Pope at bay, So we know how to do wheeling, dealing with weird rules. And the thing is that the Byzantine Empire, the Eastern emperors were in bed with the Muslims, and they preferred to make a deal, and slowly they lost land and they lost power. They didn't protect their own lands. They didn't protect their own lands when the Catholics offered it to them and said, listen, we've been here 200 years being funded by Europe, by the taxes of our people. It's your land. We've built you keeps and castles and stuff that you can defend. Can you just please take them over and keep your own land? They still wouldn't do it, So I'm not very impressed with them at all. Zealots are best with dragoons. Oh, yes. I don't know who you are, JP, but it seems like you understand about ivory-handled Colt 44 dragoons. You know what I'm talking about. And by the way, I do have one of those. Obviously not in this country, but I do have one of them. Yep, the black powder one. D-Lo pucker factor. It's the liars and gammas who always try to gotcha tactic. They assume everyone lies as much as them. Yes, they do. And also the way to shut these people down, you don't have to be a master of rhetoric or dialectic or even know what you're talking about. The only reason that these people continue to exist is because it is now considered impolite to punch them in the mouth or shoot them in the face when they irritate you. Believe me, there are no gammas who speak their mind out in the Gobi Desert where there's no cameras. There aren't any. They all gravitate here to the civilization that good Catholics have created to make it comfortable. And then they gravitate here and they grabble and destroy everything. Keep them away from you, have nothing to do with them, reject them, throw them out. You don't even have to discuss anything with them. They're liars. They're people of the lie. Why would you want to have anything to do with them? Ben Evans, are there any bootleg sessions recordings of your time as Miles Davis saxman? Coltrane had nothing on the Kurgan. Also, what is your take on iconography in Christianity? I'm assuming that by iconography you mean, especially the Orthodox have got a lot of little things they carry around, but even the Catholics have like little medals of saints and stuff. Nothing. It's a reminder. It's just a little thing there. We certainly don't worship them or whatever. It's why wouldn't you have? I mean, I've got a cross in my lounge. I've got my family crest in my office. It's like a reminder. It's like what you're related to, what you. I took on the name of a saint when I got baptized. Some people will carry the saint's name's medal on their chain. I don't, but it's just a reminder. There's nothing, no deep significance really about it. The Kurgan, as someone who has lived in South Africa, what was your opinion of the Boers? Well, as I've said before, the Boers have got a retardation genes, and it shows. All the inbreeding sort of stacks up. Plus, they're Dutch, which kind of retarded to begin with. Having said all that, you will find few people that are more, in some way, they have that same animal cunning that like a redneck has. Not as well developed, but they can be quite devious in a certain way. But by and large, they're pretty direct, and their duplicity, when they are devious scumbags, it's, if you've got an IQ over 90, it's pretty obvious. You can sort of spot them coming. I never particularly enjoyed them as a people, but it is what it is. Some of them are salt of the earth guys. I mean, my survey lecturer in engineering was a complete Dutchman, hardcore Afrikaans, but he came to teach against the law in what at the time was supposedly an all-black school, and then law changed and everything. And that guy didn't care what color you were. He didn't give a flying crap whether you were black, green, yellow, painted with stripes or pink stars. He was awesome. And he was a good guy, good sense of humor. There's good people and bad people in every culture. I get along with some cultures better than others, obviously. I have preferences. And the Boers are not very high on my list. But they're probably higher on my list than the French. I mean, who likes the French or the Germans? I mean, Jesus. But then again, I haven't had a lot of interactions with Germans, and again, even with them, the interactions I did have were horrific. But except for one guy who was an outstanding, completely honest, hardcore, straight as a die guy, and he was an East German who ran away at age of 18 from his family over the wall, risking to get shot. And didn't even tell his family, because if his family knew anything, they would be in trouble. So it's Steve Sisko, yeah. Is that his name? Pete Sisko. Pete Sisko is his name. And I'm not sure how you spell his surname. I think it's S-I something, but I don't know. Late comment. Isometric training is extremely powerful if done properly. Yeah, that's right. That is the correct name, or calisthenics, as I call it in my book. I'll take my Glock J. I don't know what that means. Glock. Lots of spare parts around. Yes, it's true. If you have a Glock, you have lots of spare parts. Also, if you're bisexual, you can have sex with more people. But why on earth anybody would own a Glock is something I will never understand. But, I accept you, Rainbow Warrior, Keith A. How long do you think they will milk this coronavirus nonsense for? As long as they can. They're going to try and keep it going. What's going to happen now, they're struggling now because it's summer in most places in the Northern Hemisphere. And they're trying to keep you all indoors and all arrested, under self-arrest, until the winter. Because when the winter comes, you're going to have the seasonal flu will come back. And then they're going to say, it's the number 2, it's the second wave. Also, I don't know if you saw the recent video with Bill and Melinda, or Willie and Melindo Gates of hell, who were talking about the second wave. And when they said, and they'll pay attention this time, laughing, literally a little grin, like, yeah, they'll pay attention to the second wave. So I know for a fact that they patented another version of this coronavirus that is very virulent and very serious. So it's quite possible that they're planning to release that sometime September, October, just before the elections. That's my take on it. My aunt, this is Dilo, the high priestess of the Kurgan personality cult. You know, you'll all have to go through her but you can send the gold direct to me though. My aunt made me a bracelet with St. Michael's pendant on it. It's fine, you know. She's obviously a nice lady who's cares for your protection. St. Michael being the protecting archangel, as far as I know. Zealot Archon in SC2. I don't know what that means. What is SC2? Probably a game or something. I don't know. Yeah, and Baron von Blair says that his father has got a St. Michael necklace. There's no volume. Well, Chris, obviously something's wrong with your ears, because I've told you many, many times that the volume isn't going to improve until somebody invents a magic gizmo that I can just plug in somewhere without having to think about, that boosts the volume. This is as good as it gets. It's a nice, professional, expensive microphone that you've got here. And talk to Apple, talk to the gay guy at Apple, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I saw that you read it. Never mind. You can get parts for your Glock all over when the fighting starts. Why? You know, you're going to lose it? You're going to lose... Well, I suppose if you're shooting a Glock, it probably drops parts here and there, so you need spares. Zinc on a drip, then. Ben Evans, I don't know what your question means. Yeah, he did have a demonic smile. That's Rudolph saying, yeah, that I'm right, that Gates has had a demonic little smile, and he's talking about the second wave, which, by the way, you know, all this stuff is predicted. That there's a document that was written 3 years ago describing how they're going to do this pandemic, and describing that the main difficulty will be to try and keep people indoors and keep making them believe it and so on. It is a giant psyops, which has some side effects they didn't expect. I mean, for a start, kids are getting homeschooled now, so they're actually learning all sorts of things. There was an article or somewhere, I don't know, somebody sent it to me on Reddit or something, that was all the so-called transgender kids are now detransitioning. Well, what a fucking surprise that is, hey? When they're not surrounded by people telling them, you're a girl, you're really a girl is a boy is a girl is a boy. You know? Now they're at home and they're like, yeah, I like pissing standing up. I guess I'm a boy, you know? It's nonsense. They're just trying to... StarCraft 2. Oh, StarCraft. I never played StarCraft because, unlike you young pups that don't know a damn thing, I was smuggling spice and slaves in Elite on the BBC computer, a 32K machine that ran an awesome game where there had to be 3 of us, myself, my brother, and a friend. One to shoot the missiles, one to shoot the lasers, the other one to pilot. And we took on all sorts. StarCraft. Is StarCraft the one that never actually came out? Or is that something else? Am I confusing it with something else? Okay, yeah, it's again. Dr. Taylor Marshall got a retweet from Trump. Guess that's good overall. That's calling it as a spiritual battle. Yeah, it is a positive, but you know what this means, of course. I don't know if you guys that are on Social Galactic saw there's a meme, which I've actually got here. So let me see if I can... I don't know if I can put stuff up on the screen. I'm going to try, all right? That doesn't mean that I'll get it right, but let's see. Documents. Give me a second, because this is like a monkey trying to figure out how to drive a car. So it can be entertaining if I keep talking, I suppose, but then that probably means I won't be able to multitask because I'm a manly man. I can only do one thing at a time, but I get it right. Okay, see, there you go. I was trying to talk and click a button. Just too much for me. Where are we? There we go. Ah, here it is. Now, I don't know if I can actually show you guys this somehow. There must be a screen where I can do it. Assuming it opens the... Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's not showing it. Oh, it's opening something. Let's see. But yeah. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that now or not. Oh, maybe I can fade. Oh, yes. I've learned how to do this. So can you see that? Maybe not. Oh, I can do a green screen there. Let's see if you can read that. You should be able to see that now, I think. Okay, good. So that was a little meme that is now essentially exactly what's... okay, how do I close this now? I'll close here maybe. That's pretty much what's happened now, because Tate Marshall, of course, has... is the thing still on, or can you... I mean, is this default scene? Oh, okay. Get that out of there. I don't know. Okay, great. Now I don't know how to take it out, so you might have to live with that on top of my face for a while. There. Oh, there we go. There was a little cross. So, yeah, that's what Tate has done. He's now got my attention. So, it's going to be interesting times. Oh, and thanks, guys. I'm sorry I'm so slow on this stuff. Hopefully it'll get better as I learn how to use this program. Okay, where are we? Okay, Gates can't wait to use his final solution, indeed. But I was thinking, you know, where the fuck are all the men? Because honest to God, if there was somebody that lived anywhere near where that fucker lives, why aren't they droning him? You know, I suppose there's that whole, oh, but you make him... I don't care. I've never subscribed to that notion of like, there's a bad guy, and if there's a bad guy and you kill him, you just make a martyr and another one will take his place. I'm like, that's fine. I got plenty of ammo. Make him a martyr. Then we know who's like on his side. And if they replace, just another one will take his place. That's okay. I can reload. Number 2, Tomb. Why is that guy still... I don't know why Trump doesn't just drone him. If I was Trump, I'd just do nothing until like October 25th. Then I'd just drone Bill Gates and say, right, I've had enough of this shit. Who's with me? You're either with me or you're against me. What's it going to be? Because if you're against me, we're going to war with you and we're going to kill every single one of you. Then what? You know, it wouldn't be very popular across the globe, but it would work. Gates, okay. Who is your favorite warlord? Well, as I said, one of my favorite crusaders is definitely Bohemond, whose name was actually Marco. And he was called Bohemond because he was kind of a giant. And that's kind of my little nickname for my little son, because he is a damn... I mean, he's a prince and he's a barbarian at the same time. The little dude has chipped his own tooth. And we don't even know when, because he's tough. So he doesn't like cry unless he's like really hurt. He's dented his head a couple of times, running into walls and God knows. And it's like, he just doesn't quit. But at the same time, he's very loving and kind, and he's very particular about certain things, like clothes that are not cotton. That's how I know he's my little boy. But he's going to be a giant. I reckon he's going to be much bigger than, taller than I am. He's got the genes, I think, from the great-grandfathers on both sides, and they're both big guys. Will the second wave actually be dangerous? Yeah, if they release the new virulent form, or rather the old virulent form which they patented, apparently it's a proper full-on bioweapon. So yeah, but I don't know if they will do that, because it's also, that those type of viruses mutate like hell, and even if it's bioengineered, I don't think you can bioengineer something to make it completely safe and prevent it from mutating again into something that you can't control. Critique about the Scots. Can you give me on quickly? Oh, well. Well, I mean, the Scots are all essentially, fetal alcohol syndrome births, every single one of them. And then the meth, if the alcohol doesn't get them, the meth gets them. And then after that, they're kind of like really they just think that being Scotsman is something special. I mean, it is, but it's special spelled with a TH. So I hope that's enough for you. Just meant as an antiviral. What did you mean as an antiviral? What? Ben Evans. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, zinc on a drip. Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't. I'm not worried about that shit. Fucking virus is not gonna get me. Neither's heart attack and neither's cancer. I don't know how I know those things, but I just know them. It doesn't. Fuck that. I'm not dying from some bug. Elite Classic. Yes, there's another gentleman of a certain era. It was a better time, a nobler weapon. Play the lead on the Archimedes. There you go, 3 of us. We can see it. Okay, that's all you guys telling me about my retarded meme ability. It's funny, all these first-time gun buyers in America, and there's no ammo to use them. You guys have run out of ammo? That's fucking impossible, isn't it? There's like billions of rounds. I mean, I don't like them, but if you need to, get a 9mm, Nah, the UK, but I know a US expat from Tennessee, and she always says I'm a redneck at heart. Some of us are redneck at hearts, I realized that very early on when I was reading comic books when I was in my teens. Jonah Hex, one of my alter egos. I used to love those comic books because I could predict what the guy was going to do like before he did it. And it's like, yeah, he thinks just like me. He's a cool guy. Some of us just, and plus I've always had an affinity to the South. I never liked the North uniforms. If you believe in past lives, I reckon I was probably a Southerner and probably a Red Indian. So the Blue Jackets killed me twice, or at least once, somewhere along the line. So yeah, no, I have no love for the Yankees. I'm Southern all the way, and I've always liked the rebel flag. In fact, weirdly enough, the Venetians and I can't remember if the Sicilians or what. There is a region of Italy that has also sort of adopted the rebel flag as their kind of flag, also for football matches and stuff. And the Venetians have always had an affinity with the rebel flag because we are extremely independent. It's like sort of like don't even get along with our neighbors, never mind people that are like 100 miles from us or different region, never mind other countries. I mean, you're all peasants to us. So yeah, we're all for the rebel flag. Why did you pick the Kurgan as the pseudonym? I didn't pick it. It was given to me by the tribe hanging around on Vox's blog. That's what the Dread Ilk do, And one guy said there is a suspicious resemblance between the Kurgan and this Italian guy, and he posted the 2 pictures. One of me when I was in the Egyptian pyramids. This was years ago already, and the other one of the Kurgan. I said, "Has anyone ever seen them in the same room?" And then after that, it was like that was my name. It's like Red Indians. The tribe names you. There's a guy that, because of his name and his initials, and he's young, he gets called Piju. They're not always good names. it's whatever the tribe calls you. I got called the Kurgan because of my charismatic, friendly, make friends and influence people style of life. And also because I think when I met Vox, people that knew them, Vox and Space Bunny and whatever, they were all curious and asked, what do you think of the Kurgan? You know, what is he like, you know, in real life? And I believe that the exact words were, he's absolutely terrifying, which actually surprised me and hurt me a little bit. I didn't cry, but I wasn't happy. Because I really don't think I am terrifying at all. Mind you, I have caught a glimpse of myself when I'm thinking about something hard in a mirror or something, you know, like in a shop window once. I remember I was walking and I was thinking about work and stuff, and I caught a glimpse and I thought, this is when I still had a few hair, and I caught a glimpse of that and I thought, who's that hard looking fuck? Oh, that's me. So I guess, I don't know, maybe I got one of those faces, but yeah. Kind of look like Joe Toe. Oh. How hasn't Gates been plugged in the back of his head by one of his security or something? I don't know. You know, that's the thing. But never mind the security. I'm thinking, if I lived in the States, right now I'd be sitting there thinking, if I have a boat on the lake, what is the range at which I'm sure, you know, I'll stop there, whatever. I'm just, you know, hypothetically. But if I was Trump, I'd definitely be droning that fucker's houses, every single one of them. No one lives there. They all left a long time ago. Bumfuck. Get out. What? Get off my land, yeah. I don't know what Nils is talking about. All right, let's see where we are. Woolly Ram, one of my favorite people, my man in Israel. He does. Gates does have a lot of dirty secrets. I mean, look at how the guy is. Apparently, Bill Gates, when he was in school, did no work and spent all his time looking at porn. And look how he looks. Do you think that that guy gets pussy easily or for free? No. And do you think he gets the pretty pussy easily or for free? Look at what he married. Now, I don't know if Melinda Gates is an actual transvestite, but she sure as hell could pass for one. So, do you think that his being friends with Epstein was coincidental? You think that the fact that he met with the guy a bunch of times after he was convicted of being a pedophile is coincidental? I don't. Trump's droned people before? I don't think so, not that I'm aware of. But if he has, why didn't he push the button on Billy, man? I agree with your strategy for dealing with martyrs. Not sure what that means. My strategy for dealing with martyrs? I don't plan to be a martyr. Good point, Wooly. His operating system is the default for business and academia. Indeed, it is. And it's never worked. And it's always been shit. And I haven't used any Windows thing other than when I'm forced to for work in 25 years. Do I like Sig Sauer firearms? I'm looking at a 320. Is that the P320? Macelerate, that's the guy. There's a 320p or a P320, I can't remember the name, that looked really good. And if I did go for a SIG, I would actually go for a 9mm because it holds a shitload of ammo. And apparently I saw a test on a SIG that, if I remember right, I don't want to lie, I don't remember the number. I can't remember if it's 1,000 or 10,000. I think it might have been 10,000 rounds that they put through this gun. There was 3 guys taking turns and they had gloves on because the thing was getting so hot. And it melted a little bit of the bit that's not metal near the slide, but the gun didn't jam and just carried on going. So yeah, it looks like a really, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's a really good one. The Scots don't speak a language that's it's known. That's true. They don't. They just, it's kind of grunts and whistles. It's kind of like a mixture between a bird and a pig, something like that. New Zealanders. Well, apparently New Zealand, there's 30 million sheep and 3 million New Zealanders. And they all fuck the sheep. The sheep are very nervous in New Zealand. Also, it is the absolute hub of the global homo pedo elite. They all have big caves under the mountains there. Why do you think the Hobbit was shot there? In the Hobbit, the way, you know, not the original Hobbit, J.R. Tolkien was just a guy writing a cool story, but the film The Hobbit, which I haven't watched because it's in 3 parts, it's basically a story It's a fantasy of a pedophile about how a little child comes in and steals his gold. You know, something like that. I don't know. All I know is that all the pedophiles have got fucking estates in New Zealand. Also, I have met some people from New Zealand. You know how people from Australia are complete idiots? They're completely arrogant, stupid, brainwashed, absolutely the most politically correct brainwashed nation on the earth. The possible exception being Canada, but Canada at least has got pretty strippers in my experience. I have no redeeming quality for Australia. Well, when you keep that in mind, just remember, New Zealanders are not as offensive as Australians, but they're generally even dumber. Okay, this video is probably going to get banned, but if it does, I'll put it up on BitChute. SIGs are awesome. I have a 516 AR-15 with 2,500 rounds through it with 0 malfunctions. What's so bad with 9mm ammo? Woolly Ram. Okay, I'm going to answer this one seriously now. And I'm trying to think of how to do that without taking the fifth. I come from a family of hunters. Let's just say that. And we all have hunted since we were young. And my grandfather was a hunter. His father was a hunter. My father was a hunter. I've been a hunter, and so on and so forth. And we have shot, as the movie Unforgiven says, pretty much everything that walked or crawled on this earth at some point. And the one thing that I have seen, learned, and know empirically, in other words, this is not a theory, it's not based on FBI statistics, this is based on my personal real-life experience of putting bullet through living things. What you want to be doing, if you have to have a firearm that you carry with you, that you use for work or for self-defense or whatever, you want to use the biggest caliber you can use that you can still fire quickly and efficiently. So, you know, if you're a little old lady getting a 50 caliber Desert Eagle, probably not the right thing to do. For myself, and people will still disagree with me on this, if I'm talking about, you know, like I worked as an armed bodyguard for about 4 or 5 years. I never for work. I did have self-loading pistols, semi-auto pistols. I never used one of them for work, never. I was just like an easier carry sometimes, whatever. My carry weapon for work was a GP100 357 Magnum with a 4-inch barrel. And my backup weapon was a Tanto, which maybe next time I'll show you guys, which I can shave with. Because my role in the team was the guy that nobody knows is there, and the guy who stays behind and either kills all the bad guys or dies. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but statistically, the average gunfight happens at 2.5 meters. That's less than 10 feet, for those of you who don't know how to, you know, measure things properly. And I've got 6 shots. Now with that gun, at that time, keep in mind I was training regularly and obsessively, I could, from concealed carry, I could draw and fire and put a bullet in your head at 50 meters with a 4-inch barrel gun in just under 2 seconds. And I wouldn't miss. That is, at 50 meters, I would draw, aim at you, and fire in under 2 seconds, even if you had a hostage next to you. Admittedly, you know, if it was my girlfriend, I might take 2.5, 3 seconds just to make sure. But with that gun, I knew exactly what I was doing. And you do not have that level of accuracy with a self-loading pistol. There are people now in the, you know, that I know, including some Dread Ilk, that say, like, oh, you're talking shit, you know, modern pistols are just as accurate. It's bullshit. Unless your barrel is a locked one and you've got a blowback type situation, which, by the way, the 50 caliber Desert Eagle does have, and also the Beretta 69 target pistol. It's an old pistol, but with the Beretta 69 22, it's a 22 caliber pistol, but I can shoot, you know, I can put 5 of those in your left eyeball at 10 meters.
you know, and you know they won't all go in the eyeball, but 3 of them will. And with a 50 caliber, which I've not owned but I have shot, with a 50 caliber at about 10 meters, I shot through the same hole with the 50 caliber because it's a fixed barrel. A self-loading pistol has got a floating barrel, so there is movement, and I don't care what anybody says. Even if that movement is a tenth of a millimeter, 20 meters down the line, you can't know where that bullet goes. On top of that, you know, factory ammo, normal ammo that you buy, which is what I carried, I didn't load the bullets in that because you have to be either a really OCD freak, and I didn't have the time and ability to do it to that level anyway. Um, Otherwise, the ammo you buy in a shop is generally going to be okay, but occasionally you will get a flyer. You'll get one that's got a little bit more powder, a little bit less, or whatever, and it'll go wild. So, in short, why not the 9mm? Because I don't think the 9mm has the same stopping power as a 357 Magnum. The 44 Magnum doesn't really have any more stopping power than a 357 Magnum because it's so fast that sometimes it doesn't mushroom as much as the 357, depending on what rounds you use. But yeah, if you know, my ideal sort of handgun that you know, if you know that you're going to be in the shit and you're going to have to use, it is a 357 revolver, because I know that it won't jam. I know that it won't shoot somewhere that I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go. You know, if it's my pistol and I'm used to it. So that's my personal preference. That's not to say that, you know, I wouldn't carry a self-loading pistol. I have, and but you know, given the choice, I would rather go for something that's got a bit more punch than a 9mm. But having said that, like I said, it's the biggest gun that you can fire accurately and without losing time or whatever. You know, there's no point in you getting a 44 Magnum and just boom, it goes all over the place and you can't control it and you're scared of it and you flinch. No, it's better to have a, you know, a 380 and know how to use it and know how to shoot, and that's it. A 2.2 is better than nothing, and a lot better than nothing. You know, people say, "Oh, 2.2, it'll hurt you." No, you know, I'll kill you with a 22 as much as I'll kill you with a 50 caliber. You know, you just have to treat it a little bit different. That's all. So you know, it's whatever you're comfortable with. I did the math on the American private ammo stock compared to global pop, but I can't remember now if it was 100 to 1 or 1,000. Okay. The South will rise again. I sure hope so. And I've done for some friends my Southern imitation. Maybe I'll do it one day. It's not right now, but gotta love the Southern drawl, indeed. Well, there you go. You see, you're making me do it even without me wanting to. You earned that name. I got another 500 of 556 for twice the normal price and the only box of 50 for 9mm they had. Yeah, I'm not a fan of 556, but again, you know, you use what you got. Oh, who is this? Another rainbow warrior. Another transgender talking about Glock 1719 are hard to beat. I hate Glocks. The world needs more grumpy bald men telling people to sit straight and stop bullshit. Indeed. But remember, you're my man in Israel. I expect you to take the Holy Land back. PX4 has served nicely. By the way, I've never fired one, but the PX4, when it first came out, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that there is a PX4 version that is all metal. And if that's it, that looked like a very interesting handgun. The Berettas, by the way, the 92F and that sort of thing, they're very reliable. I don't particularly like. You know, I don't know. Like I said, in a past life, I think I was a Southerner, and I have a very natural way of shooting pistols, and for me, the easiest pistol to shoot is one that is barrel heavy, because I don't need to really aim with my eyes with that. I can just, you know, I went to a shooting range here in the UK where they let you shoot with rifles and whatever. And they had this 2.2 rifle, just semi-automatic. You know, it's a toy really. But the guy that was there who owned the range and looked at the range, and he was there every weekend and he shot all the time. And I hadn't picked up a rifle in, I don't know, 10 years. And I just thought, you know, and he was telling me how to shoot. And I just keep quiet because it's whatever. I don't need to show anybody anything. And I shot 1, 2. Okay, he sees that I know what I'm doing. I said, okay, but now can I shoot the way that I want to shoot? And he goes, yeah, okay, go for it. You know, if you just want to shoot quickly, but, you know, you'll miss. And I said, yeah, okay, it's fine, thanks. And I just, dun, 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 dun. And it's easier for me to shoot one after the other quickly because from the movement of the gun, that's how I trained. That's how I know how to shoot the next one. And I just shoot out at like the center of the target. And he was like, he looked at me and goes, how the hell do you do that? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's just, you know, that's how I shoot. And it's the same with handguns. For me, the handgun that comes up nicely, that works the best, is actually like a Colt Navy from, you know, 1856 or something. You know, the ones with the octagonal barrel. I like those. Facts on Swiss Italians. Well, they're Swiss, aren't they? I mean, the Swiss are just unreliable people. The thing about the Swiss is that they're boring. They're fucking boring. And there's obviously quite a bit of German in there. So, you know, it's kind of like they're really boring. And then at the same time, in a tiny little hamlet, you've got like 10 brothels. And it's like, you didn't even know there was one. It's like, what do you mean 10 brothels? What the hell? You know, they're kind of really weird. They've got that Germanic thing where it's like, yes, we're all neat, we're all clean. You all eat some kraut, eat it. And then they fucking go around in assless leather chaps twice a week on Sunday instead of going to church. You know, it's just like, they're weird people. I could never live in Switzerland. It's very clean, it's very beautiful, it's very orderly, and it bores the living fuck out of me. Do you agree the Confederate flag was inspired by St. Andrew's Cross? Could be that why you're drawn to it? No idea. I believe it was, but yeah, I don't know. No fans of CZ handgun here? No, I'm a fan of the CZ, and there was again one of the latest CZs that I forgot the name of it. One of the more recent CZs looks awesome. Looks absolutely awesome, and I believe they're very reliable handguns. I've never owned one. I've known people that have owned them and they swore by them. And it's a pretty ergonomic looking type of gun. Why buy a gun when you can go bow and arrow? Ask the Red Indians. They might educate you. Yeah, a CZ P10. That might be the one. Will be my next gun. So Blob Jones, the guy who likes the Glocks, obviously is retransitioning back to male, I think, if he's going for a CZ P10. Trump drone Soleimani, who doesn't count as a person. Wasn't really Trump. You know, I mean, if I was Trump, I'd want the little remote myself to fucking push the button. But yeah, I know what you mean. But you know, he hasn't droned any Americans. You know, that's who Billy is. They have koala bears and kangaroos, though. Yeah, I would keep the koalas, the kangaroos, the duck-billed platypus, which, by the way, I've got something about the duck-billed platypus. I came up with it today while I was on the toilet. The next time I start a video, I'm going to talk to you about the duck-billed platypus. I'll keep all those, the Tasmanian devil, the what do you call those big bear-like things, wampa things, or whatever they're called. They're really cute. But just get rid of all the humans, you know, that live on those two islands. Say what you want about Canada, but Alberta's got some balls. Alberta, I don't know. I don't think I've been. I've been to Toronto and surrounds, and my God. Yay, Canada has nice strippers. That's all I could say about that country. Oh, and it's got some really good Russian trainers of Sistema, but yeah. The sheep joke is old, but the rest is pretty accurate. Well, that's, you know, they didn't get any new farm animals to molest, so. Can we do a compilation of your various country insults? Well, I have. I've done a video about it already, but they banned it right away off YouTube because some little bitch American complained about being fat or something. It's on BitChute. So if you go on BitChute and you Google for the Kurgan, it was number 114. But on BitChute, I've only got that one and a couple of others. So you can go see it over there. Okay. That's true. We do have pretty strippers. Yep, you did. Great shooting. I got a 357 mag too. Oh, Blob Jones might have just experimented once with homosexuality and seems to be male. Keep it in the kitchen cabinet right at arm's level. 357s are brutal. 158 grain bullet going 1000. Yeah, 358s will spoil your whole day if it hits you in the face. Yeah, my reloads are way better than factory ammo. Yeah, you know, if you've got the time, the equipment, the know-how to do good reloads, yeah, then absolutely that's the way to go. But I've never been in one place long enough most of the time to unpack my suitcase sometimes. So modern bullets have a dramatically increased the lethality of 9mm regardless. Any rifle round is better. Hydrostatic shock turns a person's inside to jelly. That's true. And don't believe all the bullshit that you read about 9mm being all the, you know, the new rounds and all that. Primary, your primary is a 40 S&W. Yes, that was my other gun that I had, but that was, I will never buy a Heckler & Koch again. And yeah, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with a 40. I could shoot it as comfortably as most people shoot a 9mm. But apparently, from what I've read, the ballistics on it are not great in terms of stopping people. Yeah, Middle Canada is the best, but it's flat. Well, yeah. It's kind of like Switzerland without the mountains, I guess. The best gun by far is the one you have with you when you need it. Indeed, the FBI has switched to 9mm now, my hubby just said. I think the FBI pretty much always had 9mm, didn't they? As I said, I was in Toronto in Canada. Tons of research has been put into 9mm self-defense ammo. I don't care. I don't care what you say. I will take a 357 over a 9mm every single time and 13 times on Sunday. And 9mm is shit compared to a 357 Magnum. It's just not the same. Yeah, I use a 9mm, but I'm a girl. Well, Julie Bear, that's fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with 9mm, but in my mind, I don't have the confidence that with a 9mm, even if I do everything right, I'm going to get a 1-2 shot stop, 3-shot stop. Even if I do everything right with a 9mm, I can shoot a guy in exactly the right spot and he can keep going for a while. With a 357 Magnum, I shoot a guy in the right spot once, he's out. What is your view on nationalism? Do you share similar views as Vox with omni-nationalism? Should all people of a nation always be encouraged to marry someone in their own nation? I'm very much for nationalism, and I'm probably a bit worse than Vox in that I would say that Italy shouldn't be called Italy. You should have the most serene Republic of Venice, the Kingdom of Sicily, and so on and so forth. I believe the Scots should have their own Scotland, the English should have England, the Irish should have Ireland, and the Welsh should have the rolling hills and the sheep that the New Zealand guys don't want. Absolutely. As for who you marry, no, I believe that that's up to you and it's your own business. However, do not be surprised if when you marry somebody from a different nation, there's clashes or you get looked at funny or whatever. You know, that's just how things, that's reality. You don't have to like it, but it is how it is. Where do I go for proper sedevacantis resources online? Sodalitiumpianum.com, I think it's called. If you just Google Sodalitiumpianum or Google Istituto Mater Boni Consigli, IMBC, and sedeprivationism, you should find a Wikipedia page that will talk about the IMBC, and then you can find the IMBC website. They've got some really good articles. They've got a lot of good books that you can get. I'm not sure if I think some are definitely in English as well. If you want to find out a church near you, go to ecclesia.luxvera.org. I've also put that on my blog. If you search my blog, you should find some resources. I have land in Poland and I'm Polish progeny. Should I leave USA with my fiancé to start a family there? It depends on what you mean. And I'm being very nice right now because I'm not saying anything about what I think about the Polish people. But since you're Polish yourself, it doesn't matter. So I think the gun laws in the US are probably better than in Poland, although I'm no expert on Polish gun laws. But they're definitely not a cucked nation. They're definitely very clear about their nationality. The only thing I would say is that they are hardcore Catholic, but still Novus Ordo. I don't think that they understand the situation. And being Polish, they probably never will understand because it takes an IQ above 65 to understand the whole deprivationist thing. But having said that, if you have family there or if you have land there, yeah, I would definitely consider, if I had land in a place that I thought was uncucked, I would definitely probably be moving there and building my castle and fortifications and so on. But I can't make that choice for you, you know. There's a whole bunch of factors I don't know. You know, I would say get married, make sure that you're married Catholic so that you can't ever divorce, and make a bunch of kids and man your walls. Yeah. Look up the Robin Hood Commando, World War II archery and sword killing. Yeah. There's always an exception, but trust me, you don't want to have a bow and arrow when everybody else has got machine guns. Okay, I'm just going through your comments quickly. Wombats, that's it, wombats, they're the coolest thing. Love wombats. Come to New Zealand. I don't think I'd come to New Zealand even if you've paid for my flight and stay up. There's nothing that interests me in New Zealand. I believe there's some very nice looking land. And I know that just like the Australians, the women are slutty, but I'm married. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'd come to New Zealand for. Plus it's cold, I think, you know, I hate the cold. Okay. All right, America's south, north is Canada's west, east. There is, oh, somebody's saying there's a CMRI CEDIMAS in Auckland. Yeah, so if you, the Instituto Mater Boni Concilii is good because they've got a lot of articles and a lot of books and stuff. But CMRI is also a non-Vatican II church. Ah, there you go. Episode 114, also on podcast platform. That's right. That was the one about all the different countries. Can't wait till I'm 19 so I can see these strippers everyone's talking about. I've never been a stripper bar kind of guy. Literally every time I've been to strip bars because I was essentially dragged there by other people. And I've been in them maybe 5 times total. Maybe 6, 7, I don't know. Once was for work. Yeah, it's a handful of times, honestly. I don't think I've been there in a strip joint for 10 times. Have you ever tried vegetarian, Kurgan? No. Why would I do that to myself? I'm not gay. Australia and New Zealand are only PC in the cities. The rural areas are based as fuck. I travel a lot around and there is a big difference. I wouldn't know, dude. Every Australian I met pretends to be all this tough, rough and tumble guy. And then the minute you say something a little bit off key, they're like, I don't appreciate your misogyny. You know, it's just, I don't know. They're losers. No, bow and arrow is not the killer, Anthony Cirlani. You vegetarian freak with a bow and arrow. No, bow and arrows are not killers. I have seen a chicken run around until it was caught by hand with an arrow straight through its body. No. Bows and arrows do not kill things anywhere near as firearms. They just don't. And Jilly Bear says that her husband has a couple of 357s. He loves them. He's a smart man. Good man. Okay, Sam says that 357 is a proven man-stopper, but I don't train enough to be confident with only 6. Then you've got a problem. Then you've really got a problem. Because if your strategy in a gunfight is to just send a cloud of lead down the street, you've got serious issues. You've got a wrong attitude in many, many, many ways. First of all, backstop. Who are you shooting at? You're in a gunfight and you don't know where you're shooting and who's going to get hit behind the person that you're shooting at. I wouldn't have had that problem. If you don't train enough, then that's a problem. Train more. If you can afford 357 rounds, get a 2.2 and train with that. In my mind, I don't agree with everybody should have a gun and all that. No, I agree that everybody who has got the ability to should have a gun. I don't believe that people who are mentally unbalanced could have a gun, but then it's difficult to know who is and isn't balanced. In my mind, if you're going to carry a concealed firearm for self-defense, you should be able to pass really quite extensive and strict tests of ability. I don't care if you were a criminal and you got out of jail. I don't really care about your moral, and so I care about your efficiency. You've got to be able to shoot what you want to shoot at and not some innocent bystander that's just in the general area. Also, if you're relying on firepower, lead in the air to try and stop somebody who's trying to kill you, you've got a serious problem. Because if the other guy's like me, I need 1 bullet. If you're anywhere within 10 meters, even now that I haven't picked up a handgun in years, well, not years because I've been out of the UK and whenever I get out, I go and play with guns. But, I haven't trained regularly, certainly for years. But even now, you give me pretty much any gun within 10 meters of me, if I've got a handgun and I got to shoot somebody, I'm not going to aim center body mass. I'm going to aim for the head. And if you're like, panicky, plus you got to understand the difference between shooting a target and shooting somebody who's shooting back at you and moving and running, and you're moving and running. You got to be able to just fire that gun like it's got to be second nature. It's got to be like an extension of your hand. You got to be able to shoot like from there. You got to be able to shoot while you're pushing the guy away. You got to be able to shoot while you're pushing the guy away and not shoot your own hand. You got to train in a way that thing just becomes part of you. And if you're not doing that, then you've got a problem. Then you're a danger to yourself and others. To yourself, because if that's how you use you're going to rely on your gun to defend yourself, when probably it's better if you don't even pull it out because you're going to get killed and try and avoid the situation, And you're a danger to others because if you do pull it out and you start shooting, who knows who you'll shoot, So I don't think that's the right attitude. I don't care if I've got 3 bullets in the gun. Admittedly, if there's a crowd of 20 and you've only got 6 shots, well, guess what? You're going to have to reload. But so what? You think that the other 14 guys after you... I've stood in front of a crowd of probably 10,000 people toy-toying. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's like with pangas and axes and fucking sticks and all sorts, jumping in front of us, and me and a thin line of 5 other guys. And they were all unarmed, and I had a broken foot and I was on crutches. But I had my 357. And when these fuckers just came all in front of our thing, it was to do with whatever riots call it in South Africa. And the police helicopter, the guy that piloted the helicopter he had balls of steel because he was trying to push the crowd back with the blades of the helicopter. He was putting the helicopter forward and within 2 or 3 meters, like trying to push the crowd away because he thought these guys are going to get killed. We were just students. We were in our engineering class, and these were all the other students from the main campus that kicked out one of the guys on the student councils for raping a girl. So all these guys said, "Oh, mass actions, you kick him out." We all stormed the place. But the engineering guys don't have time for that bullshit. Plus, he's a rapist. Who gives a fuck? We just carried on doing our work. Then we look up from our work and all the teachers are gone. There's nobody left in the car park, and we hear this woo, 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 woo. Like, what the hell's going on? So we step outside to look, and there's like the road, 5-lane highway in front of the thing is filled with people, protesting. And they've all got weapons on them. And when the police helicopter is doing that, there's a guy on the pilot on the loudspeaker saying, move back, move back. And South Africans don't fuck around. There's a cop strapped in, leaning out with an R1, like going, move back or we'll shoot. If you attack, we will shoot. And the people on the ground don't give a shit. They're throwing bottles at the things, rocks at the helicopter. And we're just looking at this. And because we are not with them, we're not walking with them, we're against them. So they now start looking at us, and they turn towards us. And the leaders of this like mass of, as far back as the eye could see, there was like ants. They look at us and like, yeah, we're good. And I just thought, fuck this. And I had my crutches. I get, the two biggest guys, the two Tsongas. Tsongas are a tribe of people. They were like this much taller than me. Everybody in there except me was not white. They were all either a shade of brown or black. And these two guys just naturally, instinctively came stand next to me because I had a broken foot. So they were kind of like almost protecting me. I was like, huh. So I gave one guy a crutch and I gave the other guy a crutch. And Brian, the guy, like one of them looks at me and goes, what are you going to use? He says, don't worry, Brian. I got a gun. The first 6 motherfuckers are dead. And a few of them behind them. And then after that, whatever happens, happens. Fuck them. And we didn't take a step back. And I just picked the guy in the crowd, one of the guys that was filming, and I looked at him, and I picked him. I said, yeah, that's the guy. When they charge, you're the guy. You fucking going down. I'm going to shoot you right in the forehead. And we all had the same feeling. We didn't talk about it. We didn't discuss it. It was just instinctive. And if those people would have charged, there would have been more than 6 bodies because it would have gone through, and I wouldn't have missed a single one of them. And you think that after the first 3 shots, you're still going to have 10,000 people there? No. After the first 3 shots, you've got the desert in front of you and scattering people running as fast as they can. So 6 shots is plenty. If 6 shots are not enough for you, you've got a serious problem. Or you're in a war, in which case you shouldn't have a handgun anyway. That should just be your backup. Gandalf was played by a homosexual. Yes, it was. And he actually used to live next to him, not far from, about 5 houses down from me. I saw him a few times coming home drunk on the tube. Okay, you guys, there's a lot more of you now, and I don't know if I can keep up. I'm gonna quickly just scan through. There's a 357 SIG round. Yes, there is, but I don't like it. I think it's finicky. The first 3 allows with JP. Oh, yeah, a barrier. So Pewin better saying that a barrier to letting go of the Novice Orco in Poland would be realizing that Karol Wojtyla was not a pope. Yeah, that's true. Strippers are just a gateway to porn, a giant waste of time. Yeah. Well, like I said, I've never frequented strip joints. I've known some strippers. They're actually quite interesting people. They're a lot better people than people give them credit for. But anyway. Feel free to criticize polls as I want to know my weaknesses and what to watch out for. That aside from Novice Orco, what is your opinion of John Paul II? It was a complete heretic. All the popes after 1958 were all fake anti-popes, Freemason scum, essentially. 357 is basically defunct, and here's a guy who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. The expansion of current 90mm rounds makes them just as good or better in gel tests. I don't give a fuck what you say, Keith. You don't know what you're talking about, all right? Let me come back to me after you've been in a couple of actual gunfights with real live things. It's talking nonsense. The 10mm might be way more powerful. I don't know. I've never played with a 10mm, so that is an interesting caliber. What's the best to train with guns? I don't understand the question. The best way to train with guns is to train with guns. I don't know. Holy shit, you have some crazy stories. You don't know the half of it, dude. I have to write my autobiography as a trilogy. Every 30 years I need to write shit down because I'm going to forget. And plus, it's going to have to be posthumous because there's a lot of weird shit that's happened that would get a lot of people into trouble, I think. The average FBI agent missed something like 80% of shots in a gunfight. Exactly. Exactly. I like 9mm for mag capacity and recoil. My XD holds 16. I can empty it in 3 seconds in dark on a target. Got video on here of me doing it. Good. Good. Keep training then. You know, if you got to train with what works for you at the end of the day. But okay, guys, I've been going a long, oh my God, it's nearly 2 hours. Right. I've been on here way too long. I guess I do enjoy the interaction, but I've got to find a way to tell you guys bye when I've had enough. And I've had enough. So thank you all for being here. And there's going to be some pretty cool things happening pretty soon. Also, I don't know how the stuff works. So I'm not sure if I can send out something to tell you when I'm going to come on, just so that you're about. There's probably something I need to do on my end to let you guys know when I'm going to come on. But I think if you're subscribed to the notifications, it should tell you when I come on. So it's always a bit impromptu. I don't have a set time. I do it when I can do it. And good night, Woolly Ram. And yeah, thank you all for being here. It's appreciated. You know, I like you guys because you've been filtered for over a year. So if you're still here, you're obviously one of the immortal kind of people that has survived all the gamma sides and the gamma mass graves and all sorts. Yeah, have a nice day. Set notification. That almost sounds like, oh, that's Marie Gollet. I thought there was a guy that's reminded me of, what's the guy's name? Kyle from PKA, you know, the FPS Russia. And always have a nice day. He's a funny guy. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to say good night. Good night.